Hey guys, it's Miss STEM Tutor here. Today we're going to talk about the basic gas laws that you need to know. So specifically, we will talk about the Boyle's Law, the Charles Law, the Gay-Lussac's Law, the Avogadros Law, the Combined Gas Law, and lastly, the Ideal Gas Law. Stay tuned. So first, we have the Boyle's Law, which was discovered by Robert Boyle using the J tube. So it basically says that P1V1 is equal to P2V2. So at constant temperature, as volume increases, pressure decreases. As volume decreases, pressure increases. So you can say that pressure is proportional to 1 over V. Okay, that's the law. But why does this occur, right? It can actually be explained by the kinetic molecular theory of gases. So as you decrease the volume, the frequency of the collisions between particles increase, right? Because you have less space. So this causes pressure to increase, since pressure is the force of the particle on the wall container. So next we have the Charles Law, which says V1T1 is equal to V2T2. So in this case, V is proportional to T at constant pressure. When temperature increases, volume decreases, and as temperature decreases, volume increases. And remember, T must be in kelvins, right? So why do we observe this trend? This can also be explained by the kinetic molecular theory of gases, which states that when a gas is heated, the speed of its particles increase, and so it hits the wall more often and with more force. So the only way to keep the pressure constant in this case is to increase the volume of the container, and vice versa. Next, we have Gay-Lussac's law, which states P1T2 is equal to P2T1. So here, pressure is proportional to temperature. At constant volume, when temperature increases, pressure decreases. And when temperature decreases, pressure decreases as well. And why does this happen, right? And it can also be explained by the kinetic molecular theory of gases. When the temperature of the gas increases, the speed of the particles increase. So that means that these particles are hitting the wall with greater force and greater frequency. And since the volume is constant in this case, this will result in the greater pressure, and vice versa. When temperature decreases, the particles start to move slower, and therefore it's a lower pressure. Next up is the Avogadros Law, which states V1 over N1 is equal to V2 over N2. So here, N is proportional to V, right? And at constant temperature and pressure, as the number of particles increase, the volume will increase. And as the number of particles decrease, the volume will decrease. So equal volumes of gas has equal number of particles. Next up, we have the Combined Gas Law, which states P1V1T2 is equal to P2V2T1. And this law is called Combined Gas Law, right? And it is really helpful for you to be able to memorize all of the other basic laws. So Boyle's Law is the first two variables, P and V. And Charles' Law is the second two variables, V and T. And Gay-Lussac's Law is the first and the third, so P and T. And this is a really good law to help you memorize Charles, Boyle, and Gay-Lussac's law. Not least, we have the ideal gas law. What is an ideal gas? Ideal gas is a gas only at the low pressure and high temperature. So this law states PV equals nRT. P for pressure, V for volume, N for moles of particles, R is a constant, and T is for temperature. And in this case, units is very important. Take a look at R. R is 0.08206 liters times atmosphere over mole times Kelvin. So you have to make sure that pressure is in ATM, your volume is in liter, and your N is in moles, and your T is in Kelvin. It's very important. And why? Because of the unit of R. It has to cancel out. So that's really important, and just know that V is proportional to NT over P. This is the basis and the best law for every other law. You can use it to prove the Charles Law, the Boyle's Law, Gay-Lussac's, and even Avogadro. You just put all the changing variables on one side and all the constant ones on other. And this is the ideal gas law. Okay, that's the end of the video. The ideal gas law is the main law because you don't have to memorize any of the previous laws. You just use the ideal gas law to prove them. But if you do want to have exactly every law in your memory, then you can kind of use the combined gas law to memorize. For example, the Charles one, the Boyle's, and Avogadro's. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys, and see you next time.